How Pepsi, once a titan of the beverage industry, found itself on the brink of bankruptcy. Was it a flavor fiasco or perhaps something more sinister? Stick around till the end, and we'll unravel the twists and turns that led to Pepsi's downfall. Now let's rewind the clock to 1893. Picture this. A young man named Caleb Bradham from New Bern, North Carolina, buys a pharmacy and, fueled by the nationwide beverage craze, concocts his own soft drink in 1898, naming it Pepsi Cola. By 1910, he's got a whopping 280 distributors, rocking the Carolinas, Virginia, and West Virginia. But hold on, after World War I, the price of sugar, a key ingredient, skyrockets. Bradham makes some bold purchases, expecting more price hikes. Unfortunately, when sugar prices plummeted, Pepsi found itself drowning in bankruptcy waters in 1923. Meanwhile, Coca-Cola was already sipping on success, leaving Pepsi in the dust. Fast forward to 1985. Enter Warren McGargle, a New York-based investment seller with a vision. Despite Pepsi's recent bankruptcy, he snags the rights to the Pepsi name, logo, and patents for a measly $30,000. McGargle, a man of tenacity, starts a new Pepsi Cola firm in the summer of '85, dishing out an extra $35,000 to settle with creditors. Undeterred, McGargle relocates Pepsi's HQ to Richmond, Virginia, using personal loans to keep the business afloat during the Great Depression. However, despite his best efforts, the National Pepsi Cola Corporation filed for bankruptcy once again in June 1931. It seems like McGargle's resilience couldn't fully shake off the ghosts of Pepsi's past. Now, let's introduce a new player to the game, Charles Guth. He ran Mavis Candies, a Long Island chocolate and soda factory. Guth, dissatisfied with Loft Incorporated's management during the Great Depression, won a proxy battle, taking charge of Loft. Guth, a man with strong convictions, wasn't pleased with Loft's partnership with Coca-Cola. Loft used a whopping 31,000 gallons of a special ingredient annually, crucial for crafting the world-famous soft drink. Guth, seeing an opportunity, decided to take matters into his own hands. Picture this. It's the 1930s, and Pepsi finds itself in a sticky situation with Coca-Cola. They wanted to snag the syrup at a bargain, but Coca-Cola wasn't playing ball. Loft, Pepsi's parent company at the time, saw itself as a retailer, not a wholesaler. Charles Guth, the man with the plan, wasn't having it. He told his managers to find an alternative, and this is where the Pepsi-Cola company stepped onto the scene in the summer of 1931. Roy McGargle and Charles Guth, two visionaries, joined forces in New York. However, Guth quickly took the reins, buying out McGargle's shares, making him the captain of the Pepsi ship with a whopping 91% ownership. Now, Guth had a little quirk. He wasn't a fan of Pepsi's flavor. So what did he do? He got Loft's chemists to tweak the recipe until he was one satisfied soda enthusiast. Loft, a prominent candy and soda franchise, promptly ditched Coke for Pepsi. Cola syrup consumption dropped from 31,000 gallons to 21,000, but Guth had a twinkle in his eye. He saw a bright future for Pepsi. In the 1930s, soda fountains were where the fizz was at, though bottled drinks were slowly gaining popularity. A regular-sized cola set you back 5 cents for 6 ounces. Guth, the trailblazer, experimented by selling a 12-ounce bottle for 10 cents with a snazzy foil wrap. In 1932, he even contemplated dropping the regular bottle price to 3 cents to boost Pepsi's visibility. Late in 1933, Guth unleashed a game-changer. He priced the hefty 12-ounce Pepsi bottle the same as the smaller 6-ounce ones sold by competitors. And boom! Pepsi's popularity soared, and sales skyrocketed, thanks to the profit margin on those larger bottles. Meanwhile, Loft's primary candy store business was going from sweet profits to a bitter loss of nearly $1 million annually. In a bid to cut costs, Guth tightened the belt, reducing salaries and letting go of part of the staff. Things got so intense that Guth found himself barricaded in his office at Loft's headquarters when the workers decided to go on strike. The drama escalated to the point where the police had to step in to remove him from the premises. In the aftermath of this workplace chaos, Guth's resignation was accepted by the board of directors, and he was replaced as the president of Loft. But hold on, the plot thickens. James Cartner, Loft's new boss, found himself dealing with a sinking ship. Loft was running out of money, bleeding dollars left and right. Cartner desperately tried to lure investors, but alas, they weren't biting. Now, here comes the twist. When Cartner realized that Pepsi had been brought to life using Loft's resources, human capital, and infrastructure, he thought, hey, why not claim ownership of the soda sensation? Pepsi, valued at around $30 million, was raking in earnings of $3 million, then $4 million. But Loft was struggling to foot the bill. In a desperate attempt to turn the tide, Cartner waged a fierce proxy war for control over Loft's voting shares. It was Guth against Cartner and his supporters, with angry letters flying between shareholders claiming this and that. In the end, Guth lost the battle, and the financial corporation, led by Walter Mack Jr., swooped in to claim ownership of Loft. But Guth wasn't one to back down. He persisted in his fight to keep Pepsi under his thumb. Legal battles ensued, and as we all know, more time in court means more money spent on legal representation. The attorneys who took on Loft's case on a contingency basis ended up with shares worth a whopping $5 million, or should I say, a cool $90 million. Picture this. After the dust settled from corporate clashes, Charles Guth found himself with a compensation jackpot and the license to bottle Pepsi in specific spots, potentially worth several $1 million in today's money. Suddenly, Guth controlled a whopping 80% of Pepsi Cola, and its stock soared. Walter Mack took the reins at Loft, and in 1941, it transformed into the Pepsi Cola Company. Pepsi, true to its legacy established by Bradham and Guth, kept expanding its fizzy empire. Former Coca-Cola bigwig Albert Steele stepped in to replace Walter Mack, and the legendary actress Joan Crawford became the face of Pepsi. The game plan? Revolutionize the soft drink scene with visually appealing bottles and unforgettable ad slogans to give Coca-Cola a run for its money. While Pepsi was still playing catch-up, it laid the groundwork for a tradition of great CEOs. Don Kendall, the visionary CEO from 1965 to 1986, became the driving force behind Pepsi's merger with Frito-Lay, based in Dallas. The Frito firm merged with Herman Lay's Atlanta enterprise, the top potato chip producer in the country, forming Frito-Lay. The results were staggering. Total sales skyrocketed from $250 million in 1964 to a whopping $500 million in 1965. Now, history tells us that mergers often fall flat, but not this one. Pepsi and Frito-Lay crafted one of the most fruitful unions in corporate history. The two giants joined forces, and PepsiCo was born. But the struggle continued. While Pepsi held its own in retail, it faced an uphill battle against Coke in dining establishments. In a strategic move, PepsiCo acquired Taco Bell in 1977, Pizza Hut the next year, and KFC in 1986, securing a steady stream of customers for its fizzy concoctions. Fast forward to today, PepsiCo stands tall as the largest food and beverage company in the United States, boasting revenues of $64.7 billion and net profits of $12.5 billion. The return on assets? A staggering 16. PepsiCo proudly sits at number 34 on Fortune's list of the 500 most successful American corporations. Meanwhile, Coca-Cola lags behind with a return on assets under 8. So, what's the secret sauce? Well, Donald Kendall and Herman Lay deserve a round of applause. In 2018, beverages accounted for just 20% of PepsiCo's operating earnings, while Frito-Lay North America brought in a whopping 43%. The Financial documents paint a clear picture. Food, especially the salty kind, pairs harmoniously with non-alcoholic drinks. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more.